if we focus on this Western kind of thing, where you say just leave it behind, where are we heading to the next?
What is Western?
Western world and the rest.
Yes, is Russia Western? I just want to know what you mean.
Uh,
Tchaikovsky, is that Western music? Is Pavlov Western science? Is
no.
Dostoevsky Western literature? For God's sake, it's the best novel in the European literature. Russians are great, you know, in science and art, you know. So what is Western?
This, let me try to describe it. In the typical world view, which lasted the last 50 years, the Western world was kind of, you know, America, Australia, the Western countries, which...
Yes, not Leipzig. Leipzig was not Western.
Right.
No, I do this intentionally, because that is a very vague and dangerous concept, because it's ill-defined. Is Spain, you know, I grew up, I remember the day in school when I realized that Catholics were Christians. To me, when I grew up in this Lutheran situation, to me there were Jews, Arabs and Catholics and Buddhists. Strange people, you know, who didn't work hard enough, and you had a lot of rumors about them, you know. And Lutherans were not to be trusted because Finns were Lutheran and they had knife, you know. There was a lot of racist idea in post-war Sweden, you know. So this Western world, I think, is a very, very strange concept, because Chile a Western country? Yeah, it is. It's a member of OECD now. Huh?
Right.
So, and they can take care of their earthquakes in an amazing way. They had some difficulties, but they take care of it. So I think the most important thing is to take away the Western concept. If you look at the economic growth of Sweden, Netherlands and Japan, which of those three countries are closest together in economic growth? Netherlands, Sweden and Japan. It's Sweden and Japan. Sweden is closer to Japan than to Netherlands. Right. Sweden is the Japan of North Europe. We are not a Western country. For God's sake, the Romans never came here. We are not civilized. We love nature. Huh? You know, Scots and Swedes, you know, and Finns and those uncivilized tribes in Northern Europe who are the Japans of this continent. You can see this successive way in which countries modernize. Many people call Japan a Western country. They call Toyota, and they call, you know, the great medical technology from Japan Western technology. It's interesting, you know. Will we call the Chinese solar energy system being built, is that Western now? Because it's modern. I think a major problem in the world is this dichotomization. It is like the aristocracy, who said you are aristocrat or you are common. But that was a false division. It was a fault, because if someone was clever, you know, and it became embarrassing, they made him aristocrat. They had to make them aristocrat. And in the end, we found out that all humans are equal, for God's sake. We shouldn't have aristocrats.
Would it be possible to define a Western lifestyle, not in a sense of value pattern, not in a sense of Western states, but it's not the current right definition of Western. I agree fully, but maybe a modern lifestyle which which has parts of individualism and yes, this type of pop culture. Or is it also...
I like you swapped in the middle of your question. You swapped from Western to modern. Yes. No, does modern lifestyle include condoms? Yeah, it does. Condoms are nice stuff. No, and
it depends.
and the Swedish Parliament banned importation and sale of condom 1909, and they lifted that ban 1936. I call it the Taliban period of Sweden. How stupidly they banned condoms. And you can say, when I was a young student, I was in the student union handling the funds for abortion trips to Catholic Communist Poland. Because abortion was forbidden in Sweden, it was allowed in Poland. Then during a period it was the other way around. You see, when you dichotomize the world, you always end up in a mess. When you categorize it, it's also dangerous, but make more categories than two. As long as you divide the world countries and so in more than two groups, you are more. And there was never a very... The Western world, if you would say it so, that was Netherlands, Britain, and France. That's it.
Right.
That's it. And then people, from Dortmund, Copenhagen, and outside there, we were the Japanese. And it's very interesting that the major European conflict in this was the rise of German technology and the German society, which couldn't be handled in the West Europe. It didn't help with civilization. It didn't help with Mozart. It didn't help with the Weimar Republic democracy. Nothing helped. We came into this horrible war. And now gradually we are coming out of that, And we couldn't avoid that. This is Western culture, says my Indian friends. The Western culture is slave trade, drug trade, occupation, Nazis. This is Western. The rest is just civilization. And that's existing. So it's a way of self-identity, which I think we have to do away with as soon as possible, and especially using that term Western when we don't know what we mean, In United States, Western has if you look at this going to the West of the Marx brother, I've come to like the Marx brothers more than Karl Marx. So and they tell more about going to the West there. That was leaving the East Coast in industrialization, occupying the prairie and California. So it is an expansion. That was the expansion that the Anglophone Europe could do, which the Germanic Europe couldn't do, because it led to the war, the conflict. Yeah, we had this Nobel Prize winner showing the realities from Romania. So interesting for the Swedes to read her work from the German minority in Romania. We are not used to having Germans as oppressed minorities. It was an eye-opener for us to see that in this tension, West Europe was a catastrophic development when it came to political governance and war. Right. But when it comes to Mozart is great and Bach is great, for God's sake, forever. It's a thing of beauty. It lasts forever.